Welcome back to the channel of the Windsurf Coach. It's great to have you back on the channel and thank you for all the comments on the review of the Oceania Orca gloves. I also got quite a lot of requests for a test in which I would put the Oceania Orca gloves to the ultimate test, and that means I'm gonna use them windsurfing. This will be done in this video. I'm gonna do 2 sessions. One light wind, very cold session and one high wind bump and jump session where the water will be cold but the outside air temperature will be around 7 to 9 degrees in centigrade. Actually, I really don't understand why I'm doing this. Okay, I'm doing this especially for you, because you guys wanted to know if those Orca Oceania gloves could be used for windsurfing. Now, this is the ultimate test. As you can see, there's still lots of snow. The temperature is around freezing level. What was I thinking when I said I wanted to test these gloves out for you guys? I must be out of my mind. This is completely insane. Hey guys, I'm actually dragging my feet a bit. It's so cold that I don't want to go out on the water. But I have to do this test for you, and I'm really glad because one of the local wing guys is here as well. So I'm not alone. That makes it more bearable, I think. As the rubber from the gloves is not insulating by itself, there's a lining inside to keep you warm, but as it's so cold, I also bought the thermal undergloves from Oceania to keep those hands as warm as possible. The sleeves of the undergloves were actually a bit too long, so I fold them double to make them shorter so they wouldn't hinder the seals. The wind is very light, and for this test I'm only using my 8.6 and my big slalom board. At this moment my hands are still nice and warm, and I must say the grip is still very good. After 5 to 10 minutes my forearms still aren't tired, and that's a good thing. That means that the gloves are working. But then again, in these light wind flat water sessions everything is nice and balanced and you can use the harness 90% of the time. After about 15 minutes my hands do start to get cold. The rubber is conducting the cold, and the wind chill at these temperatures really doesn't help to keep those hands warm. But I still have an excellent grip under these conditions, and that's pretty extraordinary. Let's try to bring some warm blood into those hands, then they warm up again. I also noticed that the more wind there was, the warmer those hands were. That means that if your blood starts flowing faster, then your hands will stay warm. But as soon as the blood flow slows down, your hands will get cold. I just tried the Oceania Orcas with the undergloves. The undergloves make them slightly warmer, but at these temperatures I still get cold fingers. As soon as the temperature drops below 10, those hands are just terrible for me. But what mattered most to me was that I didn't lose my grip. Even with the undergloves, I could still maintain my grip and I could do some windsurfing without tiring my forearms. So yes, this is absolutely progress. They are comparable with the best neoprene gloves there are on the market. With these neoprene gloves, I always lost my grip and I always had tired forearms. This is pretty much still the best I've ever tried. I still have grip, I still have hands that are okay warm. As soon as I got off the water, my hands immediately got warm again and I didn't want to take them off. I still have them on and that's a good sign. The first test session is done in the really low temperatures using these undergloves. I'm pretty surprised about how well these gloves performed, even with the undergloves. I hardly noticed it. I was using gloves. Normally those forearms tire, but of course during these light wind sessions you almost completely rely on your harness and only during the jibes you will use your forearms. So the real test of these gloves will lie in the bump and jump session where you will unhook and all the power will need to come from your hands and forearms. If these gloves will pose a restriction, you will immediately notice that during those sessions and you will lose grip during jumps and jibes and your boom will just slide out of your hands. So let's go for that ultimate test. The wind is cranking up from 25 to 35 knots, sometimes even more. Temperatures 7 to 9 degrees while the water is icy cold. This time I'm using the gloves without the undergloves as the outside air temperature is between 7 and 9 degrees in centigrade. And I expect I'll stay a bit warmer as this will be an action session. I have no problems with the grip and I'm having a blast. Nico and Simon joined me today in this session as the wind is pretty good. It's time to have some fun. Normally I would take out the open palm mittens for a session like this, as the full mittens just don't allow me to get a good grip on the boom. The downside of these open palm mittens is that as soon as water or cold air comes in, you immediately have cold hands. Especially when the water temperature is this low and you might go for a swim occasionally, you can feel the cold water just biting on your hands. But now with these dry gloves and nice furry lining, my hands are still dry and warm. Normally I wouldn't think of doing one-handed jibes under these conditions and touching the water, no way. But with these gloves, why not? After half an hour, my hands are still warm and dry, and the best thing of all, I still can maintain my grip without tiring my forearms too much. I do feel actually that I have an extra layer between my hands and the boom, so I can feel my forearms a bit more than without, but it's much better than using full mittens. It's uncomparable. Well, the light wind session hardly posed any problems at all to the forearms. I must say I didn't even notice that I was wearing gloves, even with the undergloves. The only thing, after 10 to 15 minutes those hands still get cold, but they warm up pretty quickly. Then the real test, of course, was the high wind bump and jump session. The forearms tired a bit more, but I could sail for 1 to 1.5 hours without any problems and my hands stayed dry and warm throughout the session. I didn't need to stop to warm up those hands. It looks like the perfect conditions for these orcas are the conditions where the water is still very cold and the outside air temperature is around 5 to 10 degrees, as your hands will stay dry and warm even if you go for a swim. I really do hope you liked this second review of the Oceania Orca gloves, this time using them windsurfing. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course, if you liked the video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel of the Windsurf Coach so you don't have to miss out on any of the action. Thanks very much for watching and see you next time. I will see you on the water.